Hi guys, welcome to the channel. This video will be a continuation of the part 2 join and sculpt video where we joined the separate objects of our base mesh, smoothed it out, and then added in some detail. In this video I create the rough base for the accessories and end up with something like this. We will add in the details and finalize these accessories in the next video. Okay, I'm going to start with modeling some goggles. Shift A to add a circle, taking the vertices down to 16 and then positioning it over the eye. Pressing the period or decimal button on the numpad will center the view and orbiting axis around the selected object. Pulling the circle forward so that it is in front of the mesh entirely. Now turning on the snap function, selecting the face option and ticking the box for project individual elements. Now tabbing back into edit mode, I'm going to select all the vertices and then press G. It doesn't look like anything happened from the front view, but when you orbit around, you'll see the vertices snap back to the closest face. F to make a face, and then E and then Y to constrain to the Y axes, and pull what will be the lens directly forward. To straighten out this bit, I'm going to press S and then Y again to constrain, and then pull until the Y-axis scale parameter is 0. Then I to inset the vertices, E to extrude back, and there you have it, a sort of goggle frame and lens shape. Then shade smooth and a subdivision surface modifier. It looks pretty gnarly right now, so to clean it up, we will tab back into edit mode and then press Ctrl B to add a bevel. You can play with the offset and segments to get your desired look. Now if you want to maintain the same bevel throughout your object, you can press Shift R to repeat the last operation. In this case, it will be the bevel. It saves the offset and segment information so that you can maintain consistent bevels. Now this back part looks pretty rough still, so to clean it up we will press Ctrl and R, and then you can press E to force the loop to align with one of the edges. To switch which edge the loop aligns to, you can press F. Still doesn't look that clean on the edge here, so I'm going to press / on the numpad to isolate the view, and then I to inset on the back side here as well. I have some overlapping geometry, so just pulling it forward to clean that up. Adding a mirror modifier, then clearing the transforms to reset the origin and thus the mirror point to the middle. Okay, so let's add a mustache now. 3 on the numpad to go to side view, then Shift A to add a rounded cube. Then I'm going to use one of the operator presets, the capsule, and move it under the nose. You'll notice here I stretch the object a bit in one direction and make the scale of the object not uniform. When I Control Tab into sculpt mode, I get an error down here that says sculpting could be unpredictable due to the object not having a uniform scale. This, combined with the object's origin point being where it was, it caused the sculpt brush to not behave the way I expected it to. You can see I have sculpting symmetry on, but it doesn't symmetrize the brush to the other side. If you run into a similar problem, pressing Ctrl A and clearing the transforms will likely resolve your issue like it did for me. So now for a little shaping, I've used the voxel remesher to give a little bit more uniform geometry to the object. and then using the deform brush to pull it back a bit. And then one of my favorite brushes, the snake hook brush. I find that this brush is pretty good for creating stylized hair shapes, then just pulling it into the desired shape like this. Now onto the eyebrows and beard, both very similar to the mustache. Rounded cubes, voxel remesh, and then snake hook and deform brush to get the desired shape. Now onto some armor for the shoulders. 3 on the numpad for side view, Shift A to add a circle. I'm going to tab into edit mode and then delete the bottom half of the vertices to create a semicircle shape. Then extrude in front view to follow the shape of the trapezius. I'm going to shade smooth and add a solidify and subdivision surface modifier here. To create another layer of armor, I'm going to tab into edit mode, select all the vertices with A, and then Shift D to duplicate. Then I'm going to move it underneath to make the armor look a little bit more interesting. Now onto the forearm armor. I'm going to turn on snap to face, project individual elements, and then add a single vertex. I'm going to use a built-in Blender add-on called F2 here to help with this part. This add-on is helpful for when we do retopology later. Okay, so with the F2 add-on, if you select an edge like this, and then hold Control while right-clicking, it will automatically create a quad face for you. Some cleanup may be required. But you can hold Control and right-click all the way around the arm. Try and maintain good edge flow here, meaning make sure your edges follow the edges of your sculpt, which is what I try and achieve in my cleanup stage here. Another helpful feature of the F2 add-on is if you have two edges like this, if you select the corner vertex like this and press F, it will automatically create a quad face for you as well. You can then create faces around the arm like this as an alternative method. I find this way a little bit cleaner and easier to manage than the first method. Once you get to a spot where you want to connect things up like this, you may want to turn auto merge on up here on the top right. When you press F, you can then move the vertex over to where you want to connect to, and they should automatically merge into one. Here though, you can see it doesn't quite bite as the scale of my model is quite big here. To fix this, you can press N on your keyboard to bring up the side panel options menu. Click on options and then expand the auto merge section here and then increase the threshold like this. Now when you try again, the two vertices will merge automatically once they are within that range. Now I'm going to add a mirror modifier, a subdivision modifier to help the shrink wrap, then the shrink wrap, then a solidify modifier, and then another subdivision to smooth it all out. Now I want to create a sort of brace look with straps and a buckle. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, Control B to bevel this edge, and then Alt left click and delete the middle edge. Now I'm going to add in some control loops and then delete the top and bottom edges. Then switching to face mode, I'll Alt left click the middle faces and then delete them. Now over on the left, I'm going to select the Shrink Fatten tool and expand the new geometry so it is on the outside of the brace. I want to thicken the straps up a bit, so I'm going to Alt left click the top edge here and then press G twice and then C. You'll see a bunch of yellow lines here. This allows you to pull the vertices along those yellow lines out past the boundaries of the object. Okay, now moving on to the legs, I'm just going to tab into edit mode and steal a vertex here from the braces. I'm going to select and then Shift D to duplicate. Then I'm going to press P to separate by selection. Then I'm going to do the same thing as with the forearm to create a shin guard of sorts. Then the same thing with the belt. Stealing a vertex from the leg brace. Now I want to add a buckle to the belt, and to do so, I think it would be a little bit better if the belt went through a buckle. So to achieve this look, I'm going to select all the vertices and then go over to the vertex group panel on the right and then click on the plus button here to create a new vertex group I'll call group belt. I'll then click on the assign button. Now all of the vertices of the belt are part of one vertex group. I want the front part of the belt though to come out and go through the buckle. So I'll click on them and click on the remove button. Then I'll pull the 4 vertices out a bit to make room for the buckle. You'll see not much has changed with the belt due to the shrink wrap modifier pulling those vertices back to the body. But if I go over to the shrink wrap modifier and I go to the vertex group field and select our newly created belt vertex group, you'll see that because the 4 vertices at the front are not part of the group anymore, they are no longer pulled back to the body as before. Now I'll add in some control loops to accentuate where the belt will pass through the buckle. Now I'll make a simple buckle out of a plane and position it accordingly. Now I'll make a sort of inventory pouch for the character, relatively simple. Now onto the harder part. I want to make some fingerless gloves. This essentially boils down to good old-fashioned retopology. There are tools out there that help with retopology quite a bit. There are 2 automatic tools within Blender, the voxel remesher and the quadraflow remesher, which can give passable results. There is a free external add-on which is automatic, called Instant Mesh, which is half decent as well. And then there are also add-ons like Speed Retopo and Retopoflow, which are free as well, but they are not automatic remeshers. They simply provide tools which make retopology much easier. I'll make use of the free add-on called Retopoflow in one of our later videos. Starting with a single vertex, I'm going to extrude around the finger like this. I originally do 7 vertices here by mistake before I fix it later. You will want to have an even number like 6 or 8 preferably for the best results, with the top and bottom of each finger having an equal number of faces. I don't do any crazy animation or poses with my characters, so my knowledge of topology is very limited, but I try and make an attempt at maintaining some semblance of correctness as I go here. As I mentioned before, here I realize I have 7 vertices around each finger, and it's probably not the best. You can look down here to let Blender count vertices, edges, and faces for you, by the way. So to fix this, I add a control loop and then pull things around so that I have 4 faces on the top and bottom of each finger. Okay, with that done, I'm going to connect the fingers by creating 2 faces in between each, like this. You want to make sure that the fingers connect so that there are 4 faces on the top and bottom of each finger. Here, I notice I made a mistake. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 faces between the webbing on this finger. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 between the webbing on this finger. So we got to fix this to match. Now onto the thumb, same as the fingers, 8 vertices around. To try and maintain somewhat correct topology here, I try and make sure that the middle vertex of the index finger connects with the middle vertex of the thumb. Okay, so I've done a bunch of extruding vertices along the palm and back of the hand, as you can see, very standard and repetitive. Working on connecting the thumb again, I want to try and maintain another control loop all around the base of the thumb. I check to make sure I'm going in the right direction by pressing Ctrl R for a control loop and using the yellow line that comes up as a guide. I have quite a few vertices going around the hand, as you can see. To reduce these down so we can connect up to the arm better, you can pull vertices forward like this, and then connect like this to create a quad with the next row. And I do this all around the hand. Okay, glove is done. Just enabling the modifiers to check everything looks okay. Now just adding in some rough-ins for the pockets of his clothing using the same techniques as before, snap to face, solidify modifier. And there you have it, the rough in of our accessories is done. Hit me up on social media and show me what you have so far, and let me know if you have any questions or have any feedback on something I've done wrong or could have done better. Thanks for watching, I hope it helped, and see you in the next one.